Work with children, young people in schools is one of our key areas of diocesan focus. It was also, as you'll know, one of the three principal areas of national focus for the Church of England at the moment, and Bishops' Council has decided that the first bid that we submit for the new national funding should be in this area. It's a priority that we identified some years ago, and particularly this morning we're going to reflect on the diocesan report Disciples Together, which was produced 3 years ago in June 2020. So it came out pre-pandemic, but its message is still very relevant and urgent. And as you'll know, the key theme there was putting children, young people and families at the centre of a more Christ-like church. So by way of introduction, we're going to start by seeing a video that's giving some examples from across the diocese of initiatives and work in this area.
So at the moment I'm chaplain in Whitney, and I'm working across 9 schools, and in particular I'm working in one of the secondary schools. At the moment I'm running a CU, which is amazing. And the fruit of that is 3 young people now 2 want to go into theology at university, and one of them wants to be what I am, or they want to do youth work, become a youth leader, Christian youth leader. So it's outstanding. So we took about 11 children with us, varying ages. Amazing time, really amazing time. I think one of the stories that I recall is one of the young men that came with us, who has no faith, actually because of some of the activities that we did and just the love of the community, is now seeking things further and wants to come again this year. So he'll be coming again this year.
So in January of this year, I went on the depth retreat, which was led by the Discipleship Enablers. And in the run up to this depth retreat, I was really considering not going. I had a lot of stuff going on at work and was just feeling quite overwhelmed by all the stuff that I needed to tick off my to-do list. And I just felt like a bit of a push from God of, no, you actually do need to go and do this, and this is going to be something that's really helpful for you. And so I went slightly reluctantly, but I went, and I was, I think, just really touched by the grace that I was welcomed into. So the Discipleship Enablers that were there were James, Yvonne and Ian, and I think the atmosphere that they created and what was modelled to us as people coming on this retreat was permission to stop and be still and reflect and just be. There was just so much grace that was modelled to us, and I don't think I've ever been in an environment where I have seen the grace of God modelled to me in that way. And so that was a huge thing for me, and it was clearly something that I really needed at that time. And so the practices that they led us through of stillness and noticing, dwelling, mending and blessing were just huge for me. So I've done some kind of mindfulness stuff before and done some sort of faith-related mindfulness stuff, and always thought a bit like, I could take it or leave it, really. I'm not sure it's my thing, but the way that was used on that weekend as a bit of a journey and a way to, I guess, kind of reconnect us with God and just with ourselves without all the chaos of working life and all the responsibility that comes with it, was really profound. It was really helpful for me to be guided through that stuff. And to be away in this time where I didn't have responsibilities and I didn't have these things to do, but I was just able to go and receive what was given.
Yes, I've been on the training twice. First time when I first started, and then again recently. I think the second time for me was very impactful. I think it's taken me a bit further in my Christian journey, and the fact that it's allowing me to taught me how to be still. The 5 things I mentioned, you need to go on the training. One of them being noticed and just not seeing what's going on around. And I think I've really just enjoyed being a part of that. It's been very beneficial.
So I came away from that retreat thinking, this is great stuff. How can we use this? How can we benefit our young people with this? And so I did a bit of thinking about how we could incorporate it into the youth groups we run. But actually really felt like this could be really good stuff for our youth weekend away. I wasn't sure that they would engage with it or that they would be excited by it or want to do it. So I had a bit of trepidation going into it, but actually I am so convinced that it's really good for teenagers, because actually what we saw over the weekend away was young people engaging with it fully from the start, because I think because it's so alien to them, because this is not a thing that they're used to in their everyday lives. And so I think for them, the same as it was for me, being given permission just to stop and be still and rest and reflect on who they are and how they're feeling inside and where God comes into that for them, they were able to articulate that they really benefited from that and they really enjoyed that. So much so that on the first night we were there, some of the girls, before they went to bed, insisted on having another stillness practice before they went to bed, because they enjoyed it so much. And so if that wasn't a win, I don't know what is.
One of the major wins we've had here at St. Peter's is our youth ministry. We've dedicated a lot of time and resource to build this, and one of the massive wins is creating an environment where they feel like they belong. We've dedicated a whole floor of our building here at St. Peter's to them, creating a bar, as you can see in the background, a games room, hangout rooms, music, you name it. We've created an environment where they feel like they belong, which has helped us get to know them. They bring their friends. It creates wonderful God conversations, and many of them have given their lives to Jesus. And a lot of that is down to investing in them, both with time and resource.
When I read the Disciples Together report, I felt this was a report with a vision that was practical and achievable for rural churches with our very small and limited resources. In the past, it has at times felt that the rural church has been set up to fail, judged with unrealistic metrics and expectations that are only achievable in medium or large urban or suburban churches. It felt like here there was at least some genuine understanding of the rural church and its quite specific needs and working realities. Reading this report, my response was, yes, we can be part of this.
Great to hear from Mark and from Catherine there about two projects that we've supported. It shows what is possible with the investment of time and from a team living out and inviting into Christian community. There is an epidemic of loneliness among young people. Experiencing welcome, belonging, and acceptance has a profound impact on young people and offers the chance to invite them into deeper opportunities to participate in what Christians do and who they are, what Youthscape call experiential apologetics. It's a model that we use at Yellow Braces, where young people, whatever their experience to date of Christianity, lots, some, or none, are invited into Christian community, given the opportunity to step into faith practice, as together we explore and encounter the love of God and the call of Jesus. As you heard from Laverne, this has had a huge impact on many young people. Yellow Braces has also been a great way of training leaders in the ethos and practice of Disciples Together as they experience and step into the 5 shifts that it entails.
It's great to hear from Laverne about her chaplaincy work in Witney. Laverne is also the youth worker for the parish, and so she journeys with young people as they explore, deepen and consolidate their faith beyond school. It's been so heartening with chaplaincies to observe how schools which have committed to chaplaincy have also established chaplaincy rooms for worship, discussion and prayer. But also encouraging is the fact that financially stretched schools, which have received help from the Development Fund, are now fully committed to the ongoing funding of chaplaincy. I've heard 3 heads say recently that they wouldn't dream of losing their chaplain at any cost. And this links to Megan's film. You might be surprised to hear that she and members of her youth group take so quickly and intuitively to SpaceMakers' contemplative practices. Mental health has been described by one of our heads as at epidemic proportions in our schools. SpaceMakers training invites participants to inhabit the practices and experience them for themselves. From this, they then feel empowered and infused to share them with others, and then they seem to want to go deeper. A recent pilot SpaceMakers Teachers Retreat received fabulous feedback, and the next 24-hour retreat is oversubscribed. One teacher during training expressed that she felt that God was giving her a great big hug. We need to experience the change we wish to share.
But it's good to hear that the contemplative practices are positively impacting individuals of all ages. And I'm really chuffed to give a quick plug to SpaceMakers for Families, the resource that we're now hoping will impact more in homes, as well as in schools and churches and youth groups. Disciples Together Shift 2 asks us how we engage with children, young people and families, including intergenerationally, a shift which has come to the fore through and post-pandemic. More than the all-age service, this shift moves to intergenerational as faith formation and discipleship for all. Two ways we're supporting this are the intergenerational greenhouse and the authorised preachers in intergenerational settings pilot scheme. Gaining feedback is an essential part of the learning process for authorisation, and a desire to worship all together every week was reflected in that feedback by both adults and children for at least two of the people working towards authorisation. One church who decided to worship all together every week is Peachcroft in Abingdon. They recently reflected the positive impact this is having on relationships, something they believe is directly attributable to the weekly intergen format. There are times and places for peer groups at Peachcroft, but they choose to worship together and are experimenting to ensure accessibility for all. So there are signs that journeying together intergenerationally is nurturing disciples across the diocese, and that weekly worship and activities with and for children and young people increases average weekly attendance by them. A final word to the child in the intergenerational service for one of our authorised preachers who said they felt close to God when we chat and catch with him. Chat and catch is a way of praying to enable talk with, chat, and hearing from, catching from God. So essential tools for a lifelong journey of faith.
In the past year, the Discipleship Enablers team have developed our approach to promoting growth in the Diocese of Oxford. We have worked with local churches, fostering stronger partnerships to better serve and attend to parish needs. Our approach is informed by our experience and listening, as well as Disciples Together and other such reports as the Church of England's growth research. The top three findings of the growth research are: 1, committed leadership, which is fundamental for the growth of youth and children's ministry. 2, intentional choices. Growth happens as a result of making deliberate decisions. And 3, recruitment of key leaders. As a team, we offer support in such areas as resource management, leadership recruitment, and strategic planning. Our work has shown the power of prioritizing youth and children's ministry. We also believe in celebrating parish successes, providing constructive feedback to further their progress and development. As a team, we have directly supported over 100 parishes in the past 12 months alone. Recently, a church in Wickham sought guidance on retaining their children's minister. We suggested applying for a development fund and exploring collaborative opportunities within the deanery. They've successfully secured funding, ensuring continued support for their crucial work. This is just one example of 26 development fund applications we have supported. Overall, we aim to facilitate growth in parishes by fostering stronger relationships amongst all stakeholders. And together, we are placing young people and children at the heart of a more Christ-like church.